this is Maelstrom from Competition Motorsport. Today we're going to do another in our how-to series for racers, and we're going to discuss data acquisition equipment, what that is, why it's important, and how to get what you need out of your vehicle and out of your time on track to continue improving. So first we're going to talk about the very basic fundamental metric of all racers is lap times. If you don't know your lap times, you have no idea if you're improving. You might feel like you're getting really good at this track and you're really understanding your car, but if you don't have a data set to compare one lap against another or one day against another, you really don't know where you are. So the first thing that you should really focus on is getting yourself a good lap timer. Here we have the AiM Solo 2. This particular model is the Solo 2 DL, which stands for data logging, but I'll get to that more in a minute. So the basic AiM Solo 2 is quite simply an automatic GPS located lap timer. We do have them available with a RAM mount that will mount to the inside of your windshield. So basically you're going to turn this little device on. It will use the internal GPS to locate where it is in the world. It has hundreds of racetracks preloaded right into it. When you turn it on, it will say such and such racetrack detected, and then you know you're all set. So when you pass start finish, it'll start recording your lap. There are a couple of different modes on here as well. The first will be static. So when you pass start finish again, it will show you what your lap time was for that particular lap. The second mode will show predictive lap times. This is going to show whether by sector on the track you are ahead or behind your previous best time in that sector. I find personally that I tend to leave it on static even though predictive can be helpful, because I got distracted by glancing at it too much, which, as you all know, just a fraction of a second can take you offline. So I prefer just to leave it on static and review everything after my session. So that's it for the Solo 2. This particular model, as I said earlier, is the Solo 2 DL, which stands for data logging. You can get this little unit with either a CAN RS-232 or an OBD2 connector. Plug the wire from the Solo 2 unit into either the CAN or the OBD2 port of your vehicle. And then what it's going to do is retrieve information that your vehicle's system is sending through that port. So once you've got this little unit plugged into the vehicle, it's going to be gathering data that's sent through the vehicle's system and recorded onto this device. After your session is done, you can then compare your laps, lap by lap, sector by sector. So if you're not sure why lap 7 you were half a second faster than you were in lap 2, you can take the data from each lap and you can look at them side by side or even overlay them. And once you get good at recognizing which lines of data you're looking at, you'll be able to say things like, here I was on the brakes 50 feet later and I began to accelerate out of my corner 25 feet sooner. So when you add all of these little things up, you can start shaving seconds off of your lap times. The next most popular thing for people to want when they're racing is, of course, a camera system of some sort. Now, we all know there's a million little cameras on the market that can be mounted in various ways on or around the vehicle. But obviously, we're here today to talk about AiM Sports products, and so I'm going to show you two such products that they make that will work to do just this. The first is the Smartycam HD. As you can see, this is pretty similar to the GoPro cameras that we've all seen for decades now. This is a simple square box. There's a front-facing camera. There's also a front-facing screen. So when you mount this in the vehicle, the vast majority of us will put it behind us on a roll bar. You'll be able to see what the screen is seeing as you set it up to make sure that you're getting the viewpoint that you really want to see. This does come in two different fields of view, 67 degrees and 84 degrees. We strongly recommend the 67-degree field of view for any time where you're in an enclosed car. If you use an 84-degree field of view in an enclosed car, you end up seeing a lot of the back of the seats, and it's really just not helpful information. There's no real useful data that you're going to get out of that, and honestly, it makes the file sizes a little bit larger as well. So we always recommend the 67 for an enclosed vehicle. Moving on to the next iteration of the Smartycam, we have here the GPHD 2.2 Smartycam from AiM Sports. It's important to mention that both of these cameras do the same thing. It's just in how they do it. The GPHD has a separate control box with a length of wire that leads to a bullet camera. This means you have quite a bit more flexibility for where you want to mount the camera. I've seen many racers over the years mount the control box somewhere to the interior of the vehicle using industrial grade Velcro, for example. This will keep the control box secure and out of the way. Another nice feature about the GPHD is that you don't need to move the camera at all when you're going to remove the SD card to download your video later on. It's possible when you go to remove the SD card from the original version of the Smartycam that you may move the way that it is mounted in the vehicle, and then you're going to have to check your viewpoint before you go out on track again. So personally, I tend to lean towards this version, the GPHD. Now we're going to talk about how these systems can be used together for the most benefit for you. If you have the Solo 2 DL, again, this is the data logging version, and you would like to look at your video combined with data retrieved from the vehicle overlaid, then you can plug in your Smartycam, either version, through your Solo 2 DL. What that does is after your session, you're going to remove the SD card from the Smartycam, you're going to download the data from your Solo 2 DL, and then you're going to combine them in Dashware software. And the Dashware software is smart enough to know which data feed from the DL goes to which video feed from the Smartycam. So you don't have to do anything to line up that data. Anyone who has tried to line up video taken on a GoPro or similar camera to some sort of data that they're retrieving from the car, you know how difficult it can be to line that up. So this takes all of the guesswork out of that. The nice thing about combining these two pieces of technology is that with the camera properly situated behind the driver, not only are you seeing the data itself, the hard data from the vehicle, as well as the video data out the window, you get to see your own driver inputs while racing, and this can sometimes lead to significant improvements. Having your hands out of place, being slightly off on your shift, these things may not convey properly if you're looking at raw data, but when you have the video to compare them, it becomes very apparent, and you can make adjustments very quickly, even from session to session. Now, I quickly want to mention also that you don't have to have a Solo 2 DL to use the Smartycam. The Smartycam does have some minimal data that it will collect. For example, it has a gyrometer in it, it will measure your G-forces, things like that. You can, on competitionmotorsport.com, purchase this and add a GPS module to it. And that's essentially a small GPS puck that will wire into your Smartycam, mounted on the roof of your car or out the window or any place where it has a free view of the sky. And it will then collect some more information as well. It's never going to be as much information as you would get by plugging into the vehicle, of course, but it will give you speed and acceleration and things like that. It's important also to mention that if you have a Solo 2 DL and you're going to add a Smartycam, don't add the GPS module because your Solo 2 DL is your GPS. Now, if you're building a race car or even modifying a street car to be a dedicated track car, and you're wanting to do something a little bit more and get a little bit more data out of the vehicle and really customize the information that you have available to you while driving, that's when you're talking about adding some sort of a dash system. AiM makes a variety of dashes at a variety of different price points. All of these systems and components can work together. So AiM is very, very good about integrating all of their technology. I'll give you an example here and just run through the dashes quickly for you. This here is an MXL2, and it will plug directly into the vehicle. It can obviously have the Smartycam plugged into it as well. If you have a dash of any type from AiM Sports, you don't need to use a Solo 2 any longer because the dash is going to be plugging into the vehicle. Whether you do that via an OBD2 harness or you wire everything in using a CAN RS-232 harness. So the MXL2 is a monochrome dash. So the screen itself is not a color screen. It's not a deal breaker for plenty of us out there, but just thought you should know that up front. There are colored lights around the dash, and with all of the dashes, you can customize these lights. You can use them as shift lights. You can set warnings for oil pressure, oil temperature, things like that. Just about anything you want to do. Also, these dashes can be customized in terms of each screen and what it shows. For example, if you're at Barber Motorsports Park and it's in the blazing heat in August, you may really want to keep an eye on your water temp, your oil temp, things like that. You can customize the screen to make sure that those things are big and bright and easy to see. So while you're driving, maybe that's a screen you want to be looking at. The number of screens that can be customized vary per dash. So always make sure you look into that. Many of us find that we don't use more than 2 or 3 in a given track at a given event, things like that. But having the ability to customize more is never a bad thing. So this is the MXL2, as I said. This is the MXS. This is a 5-inch TFT full color display. Again, I'm going to stress that all of the dashes do all of the same things. It's a question essentially of the size and the colors available and the number of programmable screens. But if you don't want to pay for an MXS, for example, you can certainly buy the MXL2. You're not losing functionality. Really important to remember. This is the MXP, which is a mid-size. It's obviously, as you can see, slightly larger than the MXS, but it is not as large as the big daddy over here, which is the MXG. The MXG is a 7-inch full-color TFT display. The MXG has lots of different screens that can be customized, plenty of warning lights, bells and whistles, you name it. Another common question that we get asked is, how do I add something like, let's just say, oil pressure when it's not coming through the OBD2 on my vehicle? So if you find that you're in the position where you really need some data that you're not getting through your standard OBD2 or CAN connection, you can add, depending on your need, a channel expansion hub if all of the channels are full on your dash, or you could add a data hub as well, depending, again, on your need. If you ever have any questions about all of these things, of course, you're free to contact us or browse our website at competitionmotorsport.com. We try to do the best job that we can to explain these things, but things can get a little bit muddy even when you've been doing it for a long time. Remember, your ability to collect and analyze your data is going to be one of the most important things you can do to optimize your time on track. It will go a long way towards shaving those valuable seconds off and making you a very competitive person when you're racing. So that's going to wrap it up for today's How to Buy for Data Acquisition here at Competition Motorsport. We hope you enjoyed the video. We know that there's a lot to digest here. And as I said earlier, if you ever need anything or you have questions, please call us at 844-438-7244 or visit our website at competitionmotorsport.com. We're always here to help. We hope that you enjoyed this video and learned something, and maybe you'll check out some of our other videos. We have product videos and how to buy videos. We try to do our best to bring you the information that you need. Thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Remember, we have what you need, when you need it, no excuses.